After 1,000 days on the carnivore diet, I have made a significant change. This is not carnivore, by the way. I have made a significant change to my diet. I've been strict carnivore for 1,000 days. Beef, butter, bacon, eggs. Like those four things. Almost nothing else. A little bit of chicken or fish here. No cheating, no experimenting, nothing. The only liquid I've drank is water. This isn't water. Until now. And why did I make this change? And what has this change done to me?
But just eating meat, as good as that is not enough.
First, I want to be perfectly clear. Carnivore has completely saved me. Down 100 pounds since my heaviest, overcame depression, arthritis, IBS, reversed my congestive heart failure. Got off like 15 medications. You know what I do with these now? I don't need any of those pills anymore. It's been a true game changer. For me, I'm like, why would I change anything? Beef, butter, bacon, eggs, those four things have saved me. Why would I mess with what feels so amazing and so incredible?
There is a lifestyle way better than that.
Well, that was all before I talked to Dr. Sean O'Mara.
I started actually out in law enforcement, worked as a police officer. Then I went to law school and became a criminal prosecutor. I got a scholarship through the military, Air Force, and the Army, and I accepted an Army scholarship. And so I went into medical school, essentially emergency medicine, for about 25, 30 years. I worked with members of the president's cabinet.
And he made some very convincing arguments.
I came to the conclusion that if I was deceived about my level of health and just kept falling apart, and I'm an MD physician, and all my colleagues are too, what hope does the average person have?
And he pegged me on a couple of things. He really had my number on a couple of things.
If you're a carnivore and you're scared to death because of all the benefits that you've gotten.
I was skeptical. So watch this quick interview with Dr. O'Mara and what he had to say. But just know this, I have seen incredible healing by people eating a carnivore diet. And it's miraculous. It's amazing what's happening. I'm not advocating for some big change. In fact, I was very hesitant to post any of this because I don't want any confusion out there whatsoever. But I feel so strongly, all of this was 60 days ago. So if you watch this video till the very end, I'm going to show you what happened over those 60 days, what change I made, why I did it. Hear from Dr. O'Mara on his reasonings behind it. But I'm going to show you what happened. And I wasn't even going to release this video except for the fact that I did this for 60 days. And this has made a profound and meaningful impact on my body, on my life. I feel like in retrospect, carnivore got me 90% there. And this was the other 10%. Our ancestors weren't drinking this, but there is a very important reason why this is ancestrally appropriate now. Let's hear what Dr. O'Mara has to say. I've been eating carnivore myself now, and it's completely saved my life. I'm doing so well on carnivore. It's like, if it's not broken, don't mess with it. I've only been eating beef, butter, bacon, eggs. I haven't had a single fruit or vegetable in almost 1,000 days. What am I doing wrong, or what advice would you give me?
Yeah. So what I would tell you is, first of all, what you're doing right, you're eating the healthiest food known to man. What you would go to a new level doing is adding in these living microbes. They're going to allow you to get even more benefit, extract even more nutritional benefit from what you're doing correctly, eating that meat. So adding in the living diet, these fermented foods, and also being intentional about being exposed to the very best microbes in the planet and throughout your day, that goes well beyond just how you eat and what you eat. So just your interaction in the environment will take you to new levels.
Can you just talk briefly a little bit more, like what happens when we eat that food? Does it like feed the good bacteria, kill the bad bacteria? Like, what's going on inside if we were to eat that? And a second question to that would be, what sort of fermented foods would you recommend?
Yeah. So the big difference with fermented foods from everything else is fermented foods are living foods. And if you're just eating carnivore diet or just eating vegan or vegetarian, you're eating dead food without living microbes. Back then, they would hunt, they would field dress the animal, there was no sterilized, disinfectant ridden kind of a processing center with clean disinfectant packaging and trays and saran wrap and bleach and all these disinfectants. The animal's microbes from the animal's fur and from its gut would be on the hands, transferred on the meat, consumed by the humans to the humans' benefit. We switched from a hunter-based, meat-based, centered lifestyle to a more agricultural, agrarian lifestyle where we started to stay in place. Our microbiomes shifted for the worse. Beneficial microbes destroy and kill and outcompete the pathogenic ones. You want to mix these beneficial microbes in with meat when you chew this meat, instead of just chewing meat in your mouth or chewing bread, or if you're a vegan, chewing a head of lettuce and mixing bad microbes from your mouth into that whatever you're chewing and swallowing it, turning your dead meat into pathogenic meat or your dead vegetables into pathogenic.
I always go off, Dr. O'Mara, like whatever was ancestrally appropriate, whatever we've been doing since the start of time, that's what's best for me. So, and in this day and age, like eating meat is the cleanest I think we can eat. And if it can be grass-fed, grass-finished, that's even better. How does eating fermented vegetables fit into that?
Yeah. So, for sure, I'm a researcher and I don't think our ancestors ate, certainly not for a long period of time, fermented vegetables. It was something that became a tradition that was handed down. And it became a tradition because it was noted within cultures of people that people who consume these fermented vegetables enjoyed benefits from them. It's not like you eat this and it causes your teeth to fall out and we're going to start, adopting this tradition. But our elders realized that it was important to their health. And the best advocacy that I could come up with why it's an imperative for us to eat this way is our microbiomes have been declining over a period of time as we've adopted more civilized ways of living. If you're eating meat, even only just meat, your microbiome is not what the microbiome used to be.
I'm learning here as I go, Dr. O'Mara, and I've interviewed hundreds of carnivores and a lot of good doctors. And it seems like a lot of people say when we talk about the microbiome, it's like the ocean. We only know about 1% of it. Some people just dismiss it. But just from what I've learned interviewing hundreds of people, I feel like it's a much bigger part of the equation than people realize. I have talked to so many people that have said, I did carnivore diet, and they all say the same thing. Around 3 weeks, I had this whoa moment in my gut. I couldn't feel it anymore. My mood was improved. And I never knew what that was. And then I interviewed this woman, her name's Malia.
But that first 3 to 4 weeks is one of the hardest die-offs. And many people call it the keto flu. We're all familiar with it. But it's really big as the body starts transitioning over to using energy differently.
She specializes in the gut microbiome. And she said, that is probably one of many die-offs we have of the bad gut bacteria, and you're getting healthier. And it was like a puzzle piece fitting in there. Like it makes perfect sense. So what you're saying about the gut and the microbiome, I think it all makes so much sense, especially when you look around in the world and we're over sanitizing and kids don't play in the puddles and get their hands dirty and all these things. And then you have pesticides and glyphosate and things like that. And a lot of the produce we're eating is probably also slowly destroying our gut, and maybe we don't realize it. One thing I really want to get into, Dr. O'Mara, is I've been eating carnivore myself now I'm coming up on 1,000 days near the end of the year. I was so sick before this, and my biggest issue was depression and anxiety, which I've completely reversed on carnivore. I was on 10 to 15 medications. I had a mini stroke. I had acid reflux, sleep apnea. They diagnosed me with congestive heart failure. And all of that has reversed eating this way. But I only do beef, butter, bacon, eggs. I'm kind of known online as like, oh, he's so strict. I've never had anything.
the reason for that, from my perspective, is not because I'm not open-minded. Like there's some things that you've said that are really interesting to me that I may want to explore some more. But for me, I just feel so incredible. I'm doing so well on carnivore. It's like, if it's not broken, don't mess with it.
If you're a carnivore and you're scared to death because of all the benefits that you've gotten staying away from plants, then what I would recommend you consider doing is not eating any vegetables or plants, but just going to a natural food market and buying some fermented vegetables and drink the brine from it. It is nothing more than water, metabolites, and the living organisms that fermented that particular plant or fruit or dairy. So you get that liquid and add it to your diet. You've not eaten any plants, and for at least at the bare minimum, eat fermented dairy that is completely animal products that are fermented.
Huge thank you to my sponsor, Beast Mode Soap, grass-fed beef tallow. You got unscented. You got paleo pine. I have been using Beast Mode Soap for over a year now. Why? Because I really care about what I put inside my body. I'm only eating proper human diet, but it also matters what you put on your skin. What you put on your skin ends up in your bloodstream. So I only want to put good things in my body and on my body, and that is why I use Beast Mode Soap. This stuff is expensive. It's not like a cheap bar of soap you get from the grocery store, but that cheap bar of soap you get has all sorts of chemicals and detergents and toxins and things that I do not want to put in my body. Beast Mode Soap, special offer, link in the description below. Huge thank you for being such a great supporter of healing humanity.
And get the living microbes that are attendant to the fermentation of dairy that are so strongly associated in many studies with optimizing health. So when it comes to yogurt, I recommend grass-fed yogurt that's organic, that's full fat, whole milk, so 3.25%, not low fat or non-fat, and no flavors, no fruit, nothing else, just plain tart, tangy yogurt. And, a few brands I like is Maple Hill. I like Nancy's. I kind of bought into, plants and vegetables are really beneficial. This was before, carnivore coming out. But I was ultimately having a bowel movement that was like a cow patty. I mean, if you're going to eat a lot of plants and vegetables, you're going to have a cow patty like stool. And so I don't hear our vegan counterparts or vegetarian counterparts talking about the appearance of their stool, but I advocate a discussion about stool because, how you defecate is how healthy you are. And so you want to have a type 4 pointed stool at both ends. And that eluded me until I went carnivore and started predominantly eating just meat. I continued while I was keto. I was eating fermented vegetables because when I ultimately made this decision to improve my health at the age of 48, now about 14 years ago, I went paleo, but I was also told to add in fermented vegetables, which is an unusual. I've never met anybody else that went when they were unhealthy on the standard American diet, which I came from. I was a spaghetti eating, pasta, pizza loving, bread devouring guy. I went around to restaurants and I evaluated the bread, how good a restaurant was based on the bread and its olive oil and stuff like that. And but when I went healthy, I added fermented vegetables, and that made all the difference in the world of getting me healthy. But I had this persistent suboptimal stool. So I would say to those that are listening today, the way you want to eat, you should be looking at how well you defecate, how well you pee. You want to have a bowel movement that's like a reflex. In about 3 to 7 seconds, you have a perfectly shaped stool. without any effort whatsoever. It's just a reflex. It feels so good because the health of the innervation, the sophisticated automaticity, it's an autonomic function. Your evacuation of stool from your rectum through your anatomical anal canal, and it should feel nearly orgasmic like in quality. If you look at babies who are really wonderful examples of how healthy we once were, they will have a bowel movement in their diaper, and you can see vasodilation, redness of their face. This huge smile comes across their face from this wonderful sensation. Then you move ahead 70, 80 years, and you got a constipated old person struggling just to have a bowel movement, and it feels horrible. The reality is you're getting worse because you're diseasing. And the point of the fact is you should be, as you get older, getting better. Why? Because you get wiser and you figure out how you should be living to improve yourself. And the absence of you biologically improving, you're not getting better, you're not looking better, you're not performing better, is evidence that you are diseasing. And so how high the mighty have fallen. Hang with awesome people, swim in oceans, swim in natural bodies of water, exercise, get sunshine, do a sauna. All of these things, fasting, contribute to improving your microbiome. Am I going to go anywhere near mastering it? No way. But I'm rapidly moving ahead. And my clients are too, as a species, by biologically optimizing microbiome rather than waiting for perfection. So, yeah, the living diet, adding living microbes to carnivores. And the last thing I'll tell you, about carnivore diet is many people come to me, and I've had people have carnivore as much as 9 years who come to me and have a huge amount of inflammatory fat, deadly fat around their hearts and deadly fat within their abdomen still. Now, they're better than the vegans, but just eating meat, as good as that is not enough to optimize your health. There is a lifestyle way better than that, which includes optimization of your microbiome through a variety of different strategies, of which one is dietary, adding in these living microbes, but a sauna, a cold plunge, getting sunshine, maximum intensity exercise like sprinting rather than doing durational exercise, cutting out alcohol, optimizing your sleep, reducing stress. All of these levers added together synergistically optimize the man or woman.
But the biggest thing has been the depression. And I know there's lots of mechanisms for eating keto, carnivore that go into play with mental health. But I really believe, after interviewing so many people, that a big part of it is our gut microbiome. And I think it's overlooked. So my goal for the longest time is, and the reason I've never cheated on carnivores, because I'm like, I want pristine gut health. All disease begins in the gut, right? Like I want the best I possibly can. So I'm not doing this lightly, but I'm gonna take your advice. I'm gonna try adding some fermented foods in.
All right, so here we are 60 days later. What did I do? What did I change? Well, I was very hesitant to do anything with fermented vegetables. But then Dr. O'Mara said, you don't even have to eat them, Carrie. You could just have the water. And this water, this is sauerkraut juice, by the way. This is filled with metabolites. This has all of that good bacteria from that fermented sauerkraut. I usually don't drink this much. This was just kind of dramatic for the YouTube thumbnail for the video, but I started doing that from time to time. I'm not like chugging sauerkraut water, but I had it from time to time. Then I learned about this Elruteroi yogurt. I'm probably saying it wrong. And it was on Dr. Berg's channel. And it was Dr. William Davis who wrote Wheat Belly. He's been talking about this and doing studies on it and people having these amazing results. And the thing that he said about this Elruteroi yogurt, you can make it homemade, and that's what I've done. I'll show you some clips on the screen. I made it myself. What he's suggesting, and what he's suggesting here, and what I said earlier, what is ancestrally appropriate for us? We weren't drinking sauerkraut water. But what has happened to us as humans? I had an incredible amount of antibiotics in my gut. There was one stretch where I had like a month or 2 months straight of antibiotics, completely destroyed my gut. And Dr. Davis talks about this Arudura yogurt. It will restore bacteria that for most of humanity, it's gone. Most of humanity doesn't have it because of all of the medications we're taking, because of the antibiotics we're taking, because we're consuming low levels of glyphosate for years and years and decades and decades. Every time you eat a bowl of cereal or have some produce, you're having pesticides and glyphosate. Those are destroying our gut. So if you looked at our ancestors' gut, my great-great-great-grandparents, for example, their gut would have had these microbes in them. We lost them all and they're gone forever. You have this round of antibiotics, it kills them forever. Well, then you can reintroduce them through this. When he started talking about poop, I'm like, you got my number. Everything's been incredible on carnivore, but the stool chart that he showed on the screen, I wasn't having those big healthy ones. I would from time to time, and overall, like I'm not constipated, nothing like that. I'm perfectly regular on carnivore. But the shape and form of the stool per the chart that he showed, I wasn't having the optimal one that he was suggesting. And so that hit kind of close to home to me. And when he started talking about the antibiotics and the chemicals and all that, I'm like, that's me. Like I had an incredible amount of antibiotics throughout my life. That combined with, I have heard this message from many others. RFK, for example, he says, I do carnivore with fermented vegetables. My friend Malia, who I've had on the channel, talks about our gut health. So I've heard this over and over again. It fits. I started doing it. I started making the yogurt. I started consuming the yogurt. Here's what happened. I would say within about 2 weeks, my mood improved significantly. Now, again, I'm not trying to overhype this. I feel incredible on carnivore. I overcame depression. Like I feel great, but I felt even better. Just overall, just the demeanor, just much more positive and just chill and just laid back. Noticeable. Jen noticed it. My wife, Jen, noticed it. That was one thing. The other thing I noticed was within a couple weeks, my stool improved. Like I had, Jen, come look, you gotta see this. Like I'm pulling the camera out. I'm like, okay, I can't show people on YouTube my poop, but the poop that Dr. O'Mara showed on the chart, the perfectly formed one, I don't have many of those. I had a perfect one and it was effortless. It was exactly like Dr. O'Mara described. And that was something that was few and far between on carnivore. Again, not constipated, regular, normal bowel movements on carnivore, but this was something different. This was something, had I not done any of this and I just had that bowel movement, I would have been like, well, that's kind of weird. And that's been consistent since then. And that's exactly what Dr. O'Mara said. And it makes sense. Like the quality and composition of our stool is a pretty good indicator of our health, our gut health for sure. Like it's the opposite end of what you put in, it comes out. So that was remarkable for me. And then the last thing I noticed as well, my sleep. From time to time, I've talked about this on the channel before. I'll wake up at 2, 3 in the morning, have trouble getting back to sleep. A lot of people struggle with this on carnivore. I've done a whole video on it. When I'm exercising, when I'm getting fresh air, when I'm doing things, it's usually a lot better. But since adopting this fermented liquid, I don't eat the sauerkraut yet. I'm too hardcore of a carnivore to commit to that. And mainly just the main thing, I rarely do this, honestly. I did it when I first started and I've just been doing the yogurt. And I don't know if it's a psychological thing because I'm like, that's pretty much carnivore if you're eating yogurt, right? It's just dairy and it's homemade and it's super clean and I'm making it myself. But the yogurt has been my regular. And I don't eat copious amounts of it. It is tangy. Like Jen doesn't really like it. I've grown to actually like the taste of it. But I just have the yogurt straight up. Like I'll have with a meal, sometimes I'll just have like a spoonful of it. Sometimes I'll miss it for a couple days and I'll have it again. And I think I'm on my 4th, maybe 5th batch now. I do 2 bowls at a time. I'll show some of this on the screen. You can buy this stuff online. I'll leave a link in the description below. I went with the Dr. Berg, Dr. Davis recipe for the yogurt. And then once you make it, you get down to the bottom of the batch, you got a couple spoonfuls left. You put that as a starter in your next one and it just goes forever. You don't have to buy this stuff anymore. That's what I've been doing. In fact, I'm going to make up a new batch today. When we went on vacation, I was gone for about 9 days. I didn't have any of the yogurt. Didn't notice any difference. I had some right when I got back. I had some before. It's been incredible. I'm very hesitant to do anything outside of carnivore, and this has been a game changer. Like, I really feel like this is a big problem for most people, and it goes back to just the rules I stick to. Whatever is ancestrally appropriate. We've been eating meat for as long as we've been breathing air and drinking water. Eating meat's good. We've been fasting for that same amount of time. Fasting is good. We haven't been drinking liquid sauerkraut juice, but per Dr. O'Mara's argument, our ancestors would have had this gut bacteria but because of our modern practices and our antibiotics and glyphosate, pesticides, chemicals, all these things I ate when I was before carnivore, I've eliminated those things, and this is restoring them. Is this something I'm gonna have to do forever? I don't know. Maybe from time to time. I don't know. But I will tell you this honestly. I feel like it's taken me. I felt like I was 100% a carnivore. I feel like maybe now there's a higher. The ceiling is much higher than I realized, and this is taking me higher. I feel incredible. I didn't want to do this video, but I got to give credit where due. Dr. O'Mara knows what he's talking about. Everything that he suggested has been true for me. I feel incredible. Stool has normalized. Like it's crazy. So if you want to take your carnivore to the next level, I'm not advocating like switch carnivore, do this. Carnivore is like 90% of it for me. Eating a proper human diet, beef, butter, bacon, eggs, returning to natural, fixing your metabolic health. But I believe, think about it. What sort of antibiotics have you had throughout your life? What sort of medications? What sort of exposure to glyphosate, pesticides, forever chemicals, all of these toxins we're putting in our body that could have destroyed your gut? What has been your experience with that? And where do you feel like your gut health is now? And does it need a little bit of restoring? If you're not comfortable, like I was not that comfortable with the thought of anything vegetables, even though this is just the liquid of the sauerkraut, just try the yogurt. Try the El Rudera yogurt. I will leave a link in the description below for where I learned how to do that. It was Dr. Berg and Dr. Davis. Let me know below. Do you guys do fermented foods? What are your thoughts on this? And please leave a comment as well. Fermented foods, yes. Fermented foods, no. Is this crazy? I urge everyone to check out Dr. O'Mara. I will have all of those links in the description below. I love the work you're doing. It's important that we celebrate and uplift doctors that are doing good work like Dr. O'Mara. So go follow, support his work, share everything he's doing. And thank you so much, Dr. O'Mara. Really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, absolutely, Kerry. I look forward to doing it again.
Thanks so much for watching. Beep.